Hey everyone, it's Justine, your McHenry County and Chicago Metro real estate agent. In this video, we will break down all of the expenses you can expect to incur when moving to Chicago. What is the real cost of living in Chicago? The cost of living in Chicago is higher than average, but when you compare it to other major cities like New York or San Francisco, the costs are actually much more manageable. Unsurprisingly, housing costs are likely going to be your biggest expense when determining the cost of living in Chicago. The median home price in Chicago reached $375,000, a new high, up more than 17% from 2020. But a similar trend was seen in all 53 metro areas throughout the US, and Chicago was not one of the highest. For example, in Pittsburgh, prices rose 25.8%, and in New York City, home prices rose 28.6%. When we look at those numbers from major cities, Chicago housing prices are actually one of the more affordable ones. Usually when we look at housing prices, we look at the median home prices, but I do find the simplified median home price to not paint a true picture of the cost of homes. In Chicago, there are going to be some pretty extreme price differences in houses depending on which neighborhood you live in. Here's a list of much more specific median home prices from some of the most popular neighborhoods in Chicago. If you look at this chart, you can see how widely home prices can vary from neighborhood to neighborhood. From Mountain Greenwood with the average home prices of $250,000 to Rogers Park with average home prices of $485,000 to your much more expensive neighborhoods like Lincoln Park with an average home price of over $1 million. If you're thinking about moving to Chicago, you're going to want to look at housing prices in very specific neighborhoods. It can be really overwhelming, so if you need any help with this, please feel free to contact me and my team. Next, let's talk about income tax, sales tax, and property taxes in Chicago. Taxes are a huge expense when living in the city of Chicago, so it is definitely something that you need to consider. First, let's talk about Illinois income tax. The Illinois income tax rate is a flat 4.95%. There is no local income tax rate in Chicago, which is good because some major cities do have a local income tax rate on top of their state income tax rate. Let's take a look at Chicago compared to some other major cities. Some other states with flat tax rates are Colorado, Indiana, Kentucky, Massachusetts. They're very comparable to Chicago's income taxes. Colorado has 4.5% income tax rate, Indiana 3.23%, Kentucky 5%, Massachusetts 5%. Income tax rates generally are from about 3 to 5% when we're talking about flat taxes. When we're talking about progressive taxes, this means that you're going to get taxed more on your income the more that you make. That can be a stark difference. So when we look at progressive tax rates, for example, Minnesota, you can be taxed anywhere from 5.3% to 9.8% of your income. New York, you can be taxed from 4% to 8.82% of your income. Obviously, you're not going to be getting those higher income tax rates unless you're in the much higher income brackets, but still, it's something to consider. Now on to sales tax. Get yourself prepared. The sales tax in Chicago is 10.25%. This Chicago sales tax rate includes the Illinois sales tax rate of 6.25%. If you're living in Chicago, your sales tax can be 10%, whereas if you're living in other parts of Illinois, you're only going to be paying a 6% sales tax. Chicago was the highest sales tax rate in the United States, but recently, Tacoma, Washington beat us out with a 10.3% rate. Way to go, Tacoma. Needless to say, our sales tax do suck. Across the US, sales tax rates vary quite a bit, so be sure to take that into consideration when you're deciding where you want to move to. Now let's talk about property taxes. The effective property tax rate in Chicago is 2.1%. Illinois has the second highest property taxes in the US. Chicago is so winning the game of high taxes. The average homeowner in Chicago pays around $7,800 in property taxes at a home valued at $375,000, the city's median home price. That's nearly twice the national average. Now, one thing I always tell people to keep in mind though is what your taxes and monthly mortgage costs combined, meaning your home cost with your property taxes. If you're looking at housing costs and property taxes alone, Chicago can be quite affordable when we're comparing states that don't have the same high property taxes, because some of those states' home prices have skyrocketed, especially recently. Chicago home prices have not risen nearly as much as some other states and cities in the last couple of years. We are going to compare what your total monthly payment would be on a median priced home in a place like Denver, Colorado, where everybody seems to be moving to lately, and prices have skyrocketed to a median home price in Chicago. In this example, I actually researched 2 homes. I looked them up on the internet. I found very similar homes, both with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and about 1,500 square feet on an average sized lot. We do need to consider that in Chicago, your outside lot is going to be smaller than your lots in Colorado, but that's expected as it's a very different style of living. The home price in Chicago was $350,000. The home price in Denver, Colorado was $525,000. So you're going to be paying $175,000 more for a very similar home. I calculated this with a monthly mortgage rate that had 20% down at a 4% fixed rate. The monthly property tax for the Chicago home was $416. The monthly property tax for the Denver home was only $148. But when you are looking at your monthly housing cost alone, Chicago's was about $400 cheaper than Denver's. In Chicago, the total monthly mortgage payment with property tax was $1,753. In Denver, the total monthly mortgage payment with property tax was $2,153. Next, let's talk about groceries, utilities, and transportation costs in Chicago. The average grocery bill in the US is $471 per month, but in Chicago, the average grocery bill is $526 per month. Remember, Chicago does have that high sales tax. Utilities are also more expensive in Chicago than they are in other parts of the country, but it can be fairly close to other major cities. The average monthly utility bill in Chicago is $161, which is about $30 more than the US average. When considering the cost of living in Chicago, it is important to think about how you're going to get around. With the nation's second largest transportation system, Chicago makes public transportation an extremely convenient and affordable option. If you've never lived in a major city before, just know that many people who do live in major cities often use public transportation over having a car. 30% of Chicagoans choose public transportation over owning a car. When people do choose public transportation, often their transportation bills actually go down when they move to the city. If you do decide that you have to have a car, you're going to be charged with the wheel tax unique to the city of Chicago. Go Chicago. You pay the wheel tax by purchasing a Chicago City vehicle sticker, and depending on the size of your car, you might pay anywhere from $90 to $150 per year. Finding parking can also be very difficult in Chicago, and not all homes come with a garage or parking. It completely depends on where you choose to live in the city. But if you do choose to keep a car, your options might be private parking, free street parking that at times can be hard to find, street permit parking for residents only, and garage parking. Many of these parking options do cost money on top of what you already pay for gas and car maintenance. The average monthly cost for owning a car in the city is about $250 a month, which includes parking, gas, and maintenance. Coming up next, I'm going to talk about the cost of dining out and entertainment in Chicago, the average income, and whether overall Chicago is an affordable city. And this is going to help you feel confident in deciding if Chicago would be the place for you. Let's get to the entertainment, one of the best parts of living in Chicago. You are going to want to set aside a portion of your budget for dinner and entertainment, of course. The city has an incredible food scene, and there's just so many restaurants that you can try, but know that it does come with some cost. Chicago has a restaurant tax, surprise, of 0.5%, which is taxed onto the city's high sales tax of 10.25%. So keep this in mind when you are offering to pay for your friend's dinner bill. With Chicago's sales tax, going out in general can get expensive. When you compare it to other major cities though, Chicago once again falls in the middle for entertainment and food costs. One thing I want to add here is that Chicago actually has tons, and I mean tons, of free things to do, especially in the summertime, and I actually have another video all about this coming up soon. Let's talk about Chicago income. The average salary in Chicago is $72,000 according to pay scale. The median household income is $75,000, which is 9.3% higher than the US median income. In affluent areas like the Gold Coast, Lakeview, Lincoln Park, some of those neighborhoods I mentioned earlier, the median household income tops $110,000. The great thing about Chicago, though, is that it's a huge city with a booming job market and a lot of opportunity to make higher income and to continue to increase your income over the years. So, is Chicago an affordable city to live in? I would say, kinda. It's mid-level affordable when it comes to major cities. I guess the key takeaway here is that Chicago is not the most expensive city to live in, even despite our property taxes. I'm not saying that our taxes are not too high, but I'm just pointing out that you can move to a place that has much cheaper property taxes, for instance, with an overall cost of living that ends up being the same or even more than places with high property taxes like Chicago. So just don't be fooled into thinking that taxes are everything. You have to look at the big picture. You have to look at median home costs. You have to look at median incomes and the actual costs of purchasing everyday things. If you're looking for a city with lots of job opportunities, an amazing transportation system, great food and nightlife, then Chicago really is a great place to be. My team and I get calls every single day from people like you who are looking to move to Chicago and the surrounding suburbs. So if you're looking to move anywhere in the area but you need a little help, please contact us with my information below.